What you have to understand is it is not insurance. In the fine print, it's freaking August or April. We've had a bad run of a couple of months. Our blue Fiat 500 got totaled. Our red Honda Fit got totaled. Our 2019 Toyota Yaris Silver, the driver got arrested and it got impounded for a month while the driver was arrested. It just happens. 750 bucks per car per year in deductibles. I would just set money aside and know that eventually, if you're on the 90 plan, you're gonna get bit. All right, for 2,500 bucks or something. The 90 plan does not include wear and tear. The 90 plan does not include a replacement vehicle. The 90 plan does not include host coverage. And just so we can go ahead and talk those through so you understand, exterior wear and tear, I don't know, damage longer than an inch or two, right? We'll have to look at the specifics. A replacement vehicle, hey, they'll give you a vehicle because they're thinking this is your primary car. Will they give you one? What does that look like? A loss of hosting income. Hey, will they give you money that you would have made otherwise? The 90 plan doesn't have any of that. And the 90 plan's maximum out-of-pocket liability coverage is $750,000. This is really important to consider. If someone's in your car and they wreck it horribly, or they get wrecked into horribly, and they get horribly maimed and disfigured, the maximum Turo is going to pay is $750,000. So if you get sued and someone gets a judgment against you more than $750,000, that could be a huge liability. Now, the truth is $750,000 is enough to settle most lawsuits, and Turo is on the hook for that. But that's a consideration. And that's something that if you're a legal person and you're really concerned about worst case scenarios, that's something that would keep you up at night. All right. So with that being the case, let's flip this down to 80%. At 85%, I could just say, hey, I'm going to take 85% and Turo's going to take 90%. They'll drop my deductible to 1625. That's not bad. Down from 2500. Okay, so I pay a little halfish, right? Halfish. Still, none of those other things included. The liability coverage, the exact same. So I could effectively give them just a little bit more and have my deductible drop by a bit. My problem with that is the difference between 90 and 85 is 5%. And I'm only giving them the difference between 90 and 100, which is 10%. And so here I'm giving them 10%, where here I'm giving them 15%, right? The 10 plus the 5. And so I'm paying a 50% premium here. I'm getting about a 50% deduction in my deductible, right? So, whatever. It's just not the plan for me. I've considered going to the 80 plan. All right. The 80 plan is the same. I'm paying an extra 10% on top of my base 10%. So I'm effectively paying 20% of all my earnings. I'm paying 10% on top of my base 10%. So I'm paying 100% more for my deductibles. But my deductible has dropped pretty substantially in that point. Let's say that someone gets my Mustang convertible and totals it. I'm gonna pay a deductible 2,500 bucks. Okay, cool. Turo's got me covered 2,500 bucks. Let's say that someone gets my Mustang convertible and blows the engine because they're hot rodding it. They're going 110 miles an hour. They blow my engine. I've got to replace I've got to replace $4,000 worth of engine. Wear and tear is not included. That's not what this is for. If you can prove that it's mechanical, they'll cover it. But proving mechanical failure is the fault of the guest has been proven on every forum that I've ever read on, virtually impossible. And so you're going to get stuck with mechanical failure, even though the guest is clearly negligent. And you're not going to be able to convince the Turo that the guest caused the mechanical failure. You're not. Just please accept this. You're not going to be able to accept that. People get so frustrated, but they were going 130 miles an hour. They blew the Dodge Charger. They blew the blah, blah, blah. I had it checked. I had it scoped. I had it bored. Whatever. They're not going to accept it. Do not count on Turo to back you up on mechanical damage. Don't. And because of that, this deductible is only for accidents. That's the way I look at it. The deductible is only for accidents. Hey, Turo, you see this picture? How it was perfect before? Hey, Turo, you see this picture? How it's destroyed after? This is the guest's fault. That is the level of clear that you have to be with Turo to get them to cover things. Just what it is. Hey, Turo, My car was running fine, and now my car squeaks like blah, blah, blah. And I had just had it serviced, and the mechanic says that the person did blah, blah, blah. Not going to cover it. I'm just going to be blunt with you. They're not going to cover it. So it's very important to understand that the only thing this deductible really does for you is cover accidents that are clearly demonstrated before and after with pictures. And because it covers so little, I'm okay paying 2,500 bucks a pop. It happens. I don't want to give them an extra 10% to cover me like half the time because some of the time they're going to burn the wheels off my tires. They may or may not cover that. Some of the time they're going to blow a turbo by acting like a-holes in my car. Turo's not going to cover that. Some of the time they're going to do undercarriage mechanical damage that I don't catch until much later. They're going to go over a speed bump and rip up my suspension. The Turo's not going to cover that. There are times when they're going to do damage to the vehicle that I can't prove or that I don't catch or the whatever, and Turo's not going to cover that. So why would I pay an extra 100%? Why would I give them 20% of my money instead of 10% of my money? I have to have something, and that something has to cover some risk. But in my way of looking at it, that risk is pretty well covered with the 90/10 plan. And every other major host that talks about this, there may be hosts that are quiet, who just don't talk about this. And they're like, hey, the RS, you guys are suckers. Everyone should be on the 60 plan, 60/40. But I just cannot see that making sense in my way of running the business. And I've looked at it high and low. But I've considered going to the 80 plan a bunch of times. The next plan down is 75. I go to 75/25 plan. This is the first change in the structure of the contract. If I'm on the 75/25 plan, I get 75%, they get 25%. So I've gone from giving them 10% of my money, and I now give them 25% of my money. Keep in mind, this is all proportional. You need to understand, this is all proportional. I am now paying 250% of what I could have paid for coverage. The liability coverage is still the exact same. The wear and tear is still the exact same. The hosting income is the exact same. On the 75/25 plan, I'm going to pay 225% or 250% of the coverage I would have paid. But under the 75/25 plan, if my vehicle's out of commission, they will give me $30 a day to rent another vehicle. They won't give me $30 a day, but they'll replace my vehicle for $30 a day. So if it's my primary vehicle and I have to have a car to get to work, and if someone totals my car and it's out of commission for a while, that plan might make more sense. Now, the vehicle replacement plan has its own sweet caveats. It's only included in the 60 and 75 plans. It's a reimbursement for the vehicle replacement hosts or co costs incurred by booking alternative transportation while their car is in the shop that occurred during a guest trip. I think it only lasts for 10 days. I've never used this part of the service, but I think it only lasts for a period of time. If you choose to get reimbursed for a replacement vehicle, you won't be eligible for lost hosting income. Oh, yeah, that's another thing on the 60 plan we're going to get to. All right, so lost hosting income not included in the 75. That's hilarious. Look at this. Lost hosting income not included on the 75 plan. But if you look at this, you see it's written by someone who doesn't know what they're doing. If you choose to get reimbursed for a replacement vehicle, you won't be eligible to receive lost hosting income on the 60 or 75 plans. Hey, genius. You were never going to be covered for lost hosting income on the 75 plan. It's not in your contract. So why did you write that? Someone just wrote that and never looked at it again. That's hilarious. Anyways, someone just wrote that. And then we go to the 60 plan. Okay. The 60 plan is interesting. Okay. Because in the 60 plan, you're saying, hey, I get 60%, you get 40%. So I'm playing a ton. But there's no deductible. That's interesting. That's very interesting. There's no deductible. If anything happens to my vehicle, if I've got a really nice car, really nice new car, maybe that would even make sense. Exterior wear and tear is covered in the 60 plan. Normal wear and tear occurring from normal use of your vehicle only. 60 plan includes exterior wear and tear reimbursement, including dings, dents, cracks, scratches. If you have a really nice car that you want to be done, the vehicle 3 inches in diameter or less. And so with that being the case, 3 inches or less, you can get paid for exterior wear and tear, but you notice what it doesn't say is interior, like a mechanical wear. So this is still not covering mechanical wear. They blow up your turbo, they blow blow up your engine. They run it without oil. They crack the oil pan. They run it dry. They blow up your engine. Still doesn't cover any of that. So that's new, right? So they're saying exterior wear and tear, not mechanical damage, which is still a huge thing, which is not covered under this, and which you're never going to be able to prove to Turo in any world ever. Mechanical, it's yours. Period. You just got to suck it up. And people in every forum rage about mechanical damage being done to their vehicles and Turo not being there for it. I'm just trying to be candid with whoever's watching this. They're not gonna back you. You're going to end up eating mechanical damage. You might have to replace an engine. It doesn't happen that often. We've never had mechanical damage like that, but it'll happen. At some point, someone will destroy a stick shift on one of our manual cars and just we'll have to eat it. And that's the nature of the beast. So with that being the case, or a replacement vehicle, all right? Again, this is for if your vehicle is gone, you can rent another vehicle. Right, so for 60% or for 40%, they'll give you $50 a day to rent another vehicle. That's good. Like I can rent something that's decent. Or, and this is the big one here, or at the 60 plan, you can get lost of hosting income. Now, lost of hosting income is a different animal. Lost of hosting income is loss of hosting income compensation for the potential earnings you might have had. They might be losing due to the damages to your vehicle. Only this 60% covers loss of earning. And so if you've got a nicer car, and let's say you've got a note on that car and your hosting income, they say, hey, your car is rented 25 days of the month at $200 a day. I'm not sure exactly how the hosting income works. I'll do a different video, loss of hosting income, or I'll go do some research and come back. But the way it works in my head is they'll pay that $200 a day for the amount of time the car is out. Hopefully you don't miss your note. You don't can't satisfy your note. And so that's actually substantial. However, they will not pay for replacement vehicle and loss of hosting income, right? Because they're saying, hey, if your car would have been out, you wouldn't have had it anyways. If your car would have been with you, it wouldn't have been out. They're saying that those are mutually exclusive, and I think they are. Again, the total liability coverage is the same. The total liability coverage is $750,000 no matter what plan you're on. But the thing is, you can choose what plan you're on. You can choose how much risk you want to take. In my world, I like the 90/10 plan. Let's show you why with some math. Let's just be candid about this. Great. I like the business model. Provides a lot for me and mine, especially the mileage deduction, which I cannot overstate. And for investors who have high net worth and high income, I think it's a really good play as long as you can have someone manage it. If that interests you, feel free to call us. Feel free to DM me. But the long and the short is, this is frustrating. If you enjoyed that clip, you're probably going to love the channel and all the long form content we produce. This clip is actually just a little piece of a long conversation we had on this subject. If you want to watch the whole thing, get into more nuance, that link's below.